Are you planning to build a complex computer vision software? I'm going to share in this video 9 ideas on what to do and what not to do, some mistakes to avoid when building a complex solution. Hi, if you don't know me, I'm Sergio. I'm a computer vision consultant and developer. I'm the founder of PySource, where we build computer vision software for companies. This is a new type of videos that I'm trying to make. It's more of vlog style, where I'm going to share the behind the scenes of the work we do. If you know the channel for some time, mostly in the channel in the past, I uploaded video tutorials, but I wasn't constant on the upload because building tutorials, it's very time consuming and it was on the side while we're building constantly project for companies. So I decided to find this new format to bring some content here, and I think that this might be very useful for you. So you will see from now on more on the behind the scenes on the projects. I will show you while I'm building projects for clients, everything that can be useful you will find here. Let me know what you think of this new format. I read all the comments and I'm open to change and understand and upgrade based on what you want to see. Now, getting back to the video, let's start. I have 9 points that I want to share here with you. Let me first introduce a bit the project I was working on. It's a complex project that I've been working on for many months about a complex solution for traffic management where there are many cameras involved and we need to get many stats from the camera. When you have a complex solution like this, then there is a huge gap from building some simple code that detects vehicles, because you can run and create some simple code that detects vehicles in a very short time. I also have some course. You find some link about the course down below in the description where I explain how to build prototypes and software very fast. But when it's about complex solutions, then everything needs to be properly structured, because you need to have a database, you need to deal with a huge amount of information. For example, when you have dozens of cameras that are recording video day by day, then it means that you need to deal with hundreds of gigabytes of data. And dealing with such amount of data needs to have a proper structure to understand what data do you need to extract and what you can avoid extracting and so on. Because if you don't have a structure, then it's going to be a mess. Not only you will be very late, but you might not even deliver successfully the software. Let me start with point number 1. You need to have a very clear objective. So when you discuss with the client about the project, you need to know very clear what's the final goal. So you want to know what information the clients need to get. Does it need to get the counting of vehicles? Does the client need to have classification? Does it need to know where they're moving? Does it need to have the timing of each vehicle in a specific location? And so on. This needs to be very, very clear. So you need to ask a lot of questions when you are discussing with the potential client the project, because when there is a big project, there are so many details to get into it, and if you start to make assumptions about some of them, it might cost you a lot of time. Because if it's a small project, you can make some assumptions that might not be what the client wants, and then it's easy for you to change small things along the way. When you need to have more structured software, if you make assumptions about some of the steps, and if you need to change that along the way, it might cost you days or weeks of your time, so it's a loss for the company. And you need to be careful doing with this. And also, having a clear objective, it's very important also to properly estimate the budget, because if the objective is not clear, you might make a lot of assumptions. The project might be more complex than you imagine, and usually that's the case. It's never easier. For experience, like if there is some assumption, it's always the more complex one, and then it's also you're going to undersell your product and so on. So be very careful, have a very clear objective. If you have a doubt, ask questions. Ask a lot of questions, even if it takes multiple calls with the clients. Especially when a big project, you don't just sell them with one email. You need to have a discovery call, then you will have multiple calls during the days to discuss all the details. And that's what months ago I did to understand every small detail so that everything could be put into a contract and everything was clear. And this is step number one, so have a very clear objective. Step number two, build a proper structure from the beginning. When you are going to build a complex solution, you want to have a proper structure. Like when you want to build a building, you need a good foundation for the building. The same is for a software. You can build a software without a structure. It will work, and it's very tricky because if you don't have a structure, it feels that you are going very fast because every idea you have, you put into the code and it works. But then very soon you will find out that every small change will cost you a lot, and that's what it's called technical debt. When you don't structure properly the code, then you are taking some time that you will pay later. So it's a technical debt. I can give you some suggestion on how to structure this. We can get more into that in other videos, but I like to use some software like mockups.com to build class diagram. This is an example that I found from the website. So a class diagram will give you the chance to have diagram of the classes of your software. So this is user, for example. Here are the attributes of the class, and here all the functions that each single class have. So in this case, if you want to build, this is some sample that I don't know this one, I just opened these samples from the mockup. So if you're going to build a small e-commerce, you have a users, you have a shopping cart, you have a customer, orders, order details, and so on. And right away with a very simple diagram, you have a clear idea of how your software will look like. There are different services to do this. I like Mockup. I discovered this some time ago and I was very happy with this. There is a small fee that you have to pay to mockups.com, but there are other like appdiagrams.net, which is totally free. It's much less user-friendly, but if you want also this one, it's good. You can draw diagrams. You have a lot of tools here on the left column that you can put here, and you can right away in minutes draw diagrams. Of course, this will take a lot of time in comparison with other more structured software because it's less user-friendly. And then we have other software like Lucid Chart that I know it's common. I don't use this. So just to give you an idea, there are many of these. Just look for class diagram, flow diagram, software drawing on Google and find the one that you like the most. Usually they have all of them, they have some free options, so you can try them, and the one that you like, you can sign up to. So build a proper structure from the beginning. This is the second step because it will save you a lot of time along the way. Third, choose the right technology. This is going to save you a lot of time, again, along the way. Ideally, you should know right away what technology you are going to implement, what is going to be the programming language that you are going to use, and also before that make some assumptions on where is this software going to be installed, on which machine, because based on that the software will require different programming languages. Is it for a phone? Is it for a computer? Is it for a one-board device like a Raspberry Pi, NVIDIA Jetsons, and so on? Do you need also to integrate some user interface? What type of interface are you going to integrate? There are many different options there, and some of them are very easy to implement, but then very complex when you want to scale the application. Some of them are very complex to build, but are more sustainable along the way. Do you want a user interface like a software on Windows or Linux, Mac, or do you want a web app? There are pros and cons on each of them. Let me know if you have any questions about this, because I have a lot of experience with this and choosing this also for my previous project. So I'm going to share some tips in the next video about this. Next step, delegate simple tasks. I will focus this. You should be familiar with this in any building any type of software. The more you can delegate, the better. The problem sometimes is that it's hard to find the right people, and if you want to build complex software, if you are going to delegate complex tasks, you need to trust that person, you need to have some experience. So there is some entrance cost for this. When it comes to complex software, if you want some specialized person, but if you don't want to go that way, at least delegate very simple tasks, because you can delegate to any freelancer online and you can see right away if it's worth your time or not. To give you an idea for the projects, some tasks that you have to absolutely delegate is the annotation. When it comes to training software, training deep learning models to identify objects, you need to have a lot of annotations in the number of tens of thousands. Making these annotations will cost you a lot of weeks to make thousands and thousands of annotations. You can easily delegate these on websites like Fiverr, Upwork. On Fiverr.com, you can write image annotation. You will find a lot of developers that can do this, and this is a task that you have to absolutely delegate. And I tried different freelancers for this task and I was very happy with them. When you delegate a very simple task where it's also easy for you to see if they did a good work, you give the annotation, you can check some samples. So if you give 10,000 annotation, maybe check 200 or 300 images randomly, how they did the work, and it's easy for you to see if they did a good job or not, because it's only the positioning on the bounding boxes. Is the bounding box on a good position, then they did the good work. Next one, it's number 5, I believe. Build tools that can help you along the way. For this project, I had to deal with a huge amount of data. We are talking about hundreds and hundreds of videos from which we had to extract randomly images to train models. To automate these steps, we built some tools that will scrape all the folders where the videos were located and will take a certain number of frames per video and save them on another folder. So at the end, that we will have hundreds of thousands of images that we could give for the annotations to freelancers. A simple tool like this was huge to save time. So not only the tool was scraping through the videos, but also through the folders. So like the client gives you the folder, you run your tool extracts all the images go into a folder, and then you pass these images to the freelancer, and you spend a couple of days to develop this tool instead of spending weeks to put each single video into a folder and so on. Next one should be number 6, prioritize the tasks. Prioritize the task, how? Based on what's more important and what's the least important. So the most important first, the least important last. When it comes to building software, most important is functionality. So you need to achieve the main goal, and later at the end, on a later stage, you can focus on the user experience. You can focus on making this much easier to access to the final user. For example, don't develop the user interface before you have the software. You build the software that runs from the code. When the software is mostly done, then you can think and start building the user interface, because the interface will be based on what the software is doing. If you do the opposite way, then it's very risky to lose a lot of time on details that don't really matter, and lose time on tasks that are not the priority of your project. Don't underestimate the time you need. Usually we tend to underestimate how long it takes, and when the project is big and complex, this might cost you a lot if you don't make an estimation properly. It might take you much more time than you need. And also, this time it means a loss for you, because it's time that you cannot put into the project. And also, it means that most likely you are going to undersell your project because you thought it was much easier, so you put a lower price and so on. Ideally, before you start building complex projects for a client, you should have a lot of experience with smaller projects, and also try to Don't go from a very simple project to a very complex one, but try to find a middle ground so that you learn along the way, that you are more comfortable with what you are delivering. Another thing, focus on one project only if possible. Especially with complex projects, they require a lot of mental energy. When you sit on your chair and you start working on that one, you need to be on the right mental state to focus on that project. And if you switch from many tasks, if you are working on multiple projects at the same time, then it's very hard to switch, and it takes you days to get back to that project. So it's not only not efficient, but it's also going to drain a lot of your energy, and you're going to burn out pretty soon. Probably we all do these mistakes. Sometimes, of course, based on the situation your company is, you might need to have multiple projects, so it's totally understandable. If possible, try to have one project at a time. Take the project in that moment and say, okay, we have another project, we're going to start your project from date to date. If possible, do that. Last one, plan maintenance and updates. Keep in mind that when you sell complex projects and the clients need to use this over time, you need to plan maintenance and updates. You don't sell just one full package, pay once, and give the software, sell the software, but also keep in mind that complex software, especially working with a lot of data, requires constantly updates, might have bugs to solve, and so on. So this must be in your contract where you are selling the software. And this is all for this video, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. I share with you the experience of me working the last project. Hope that you like this type of vlogs video where I show you the work behind the scene and I show you more in-depth work that we have. For all the contacts link you can find down below in the description, the contacts, the website is pysource.com. If you want, we have courses. If you have a company, you can contact us to build a solution for your company. If you have questions about this video, let me know. Suggestions on how, if you have dealt with complex projects, what are your suggestions about? This is all for now. See you in the next video.